Alright everybody, we are here for a quick video, possibly quick. It's two parts. It's a channel update and a discussion video. So let me start by saying that my cat is going around the house hollering. Hopefully she doesn't holler in the middle of this video, but if you ask her to stop talking, she gets louder. So I'm just going to do this video as if she doesn't exist. So the channel update portion of the video is right now the hard drive, the main hard drive with all of our back footage with episodes 5, 6, and 7 of the 3rd season of the Nostalgia Junkies. It's crapped out. It had a couple of weeks worth of auction winnings and at least 3 of the Nostalgia Junkie episodes. Possibly more, just depending on what Jessica and I have filmed. I know we filmed the Eternals video, and we got that out real quick. And like we filmed our New Comics Wednesday and got that out real quick. But the main reason that puts a damper on everything is Jessica and I were wanting to do some of our reacting to the first appearance of characters related to the Hawkeye show. And right now my PC has no memory, but my PC is the one with the microphone. Jessica's PC has now it has the memory, so I'm going to record this video on the camera and upload it to her computer. So I may have to move my microphone over to her PC. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. A couple of videos that I've wanted to make to end out the year may not get made. It just depends. But I'm going to see what I can do about recovering and getting a new hard drive in my PC. So I'm testing out a new setup too. I've cleared this table off. It's not the biggest table, but I kind of like it for videos like this. I don't know how well it would do for some other videos since it's kind of a small surface, but for a discussion style video like this, I think it works. So something has prompted me to make this video. So I don't even remember how it went down. Marvel or Kevin Feige, someone said, hey, we're bringing Ghost Rider to the MCU. And I got super emotional because Ghost Rider is my favorite character. And I've always talked about buying Marvel Spotlight 5. It hasn't happened. It probably won't happen at this point. And I rushed out in an emotional, stupor or whatever, and bought this book on an auction. Paid more than I probably would, but it was like the day Ghost Rider got announced. Emotions were high. Jessica was telling me it was okay when it really wasn't. So I ended up buying Ghost Rider #1 on an auction. And quite frankly, I'm pretty proud, or not proud, that's a weird phrase for a comic book, but I'm happy with it. There's some tear up in the top right corner, and then there's some spine doohickeys, but all in all, it's pretty. It's definitely a livable copy, considering how much I spent on it. It doesn't look like it's falling apart. It doesn't look bad at all. It presents very well, in my opinion, so I'm happy with it. And I made a video talking about buying it, and I made another video about my opinions on Marvel Spotlight 5. As many of you know, I think it is the 2nd greatest comic of all time, next to Amazing Fantasy 15. Those two would be my Grail books. It's one of those, would you trade your whole collection for an AF-15 and a Marvel Spotlight 5? Not saying my comics are worth that much, but just, would you rather own those 2 comics or all the comics you have now? I love that book. I think it's a great book. I think a lot of you would agree, especially more and more as time goes on. But I made a video saying I was going to buy Marvel Spotlight 5. And I saved up the money at the time. I had $800 saved up, which at the time I feel like you're buying raw, you probably could get a pretty decent grade for $800. This was over a year ago at this point. And I know I'm trying to be all serious and talk about a serious topic, and my cat's just singing in the background. But I I had the money saved up, and Jessica and I just kind of looked at each other, and she was like, you should do it. You should go for it. And I said, I can't possibly spend $800 on a comic book. So I did it. And now it's only gone up, of course. So this is where I plan to switch over to the PC and show you guys eBay. But I pulled it up on my phone, and we'll see how well this does. This is the cheapest bid right now. $720 on a bid that ends in 6 days, so who knows. Or I can buy it now for $12.45. Not the lowest buy it now. The lowest was like $11.30. But I mean, look at the grade. And hopefully that's coming through. I mean, look, you got that. Okay, come on now. Zoom out. Jeez, phone. So, I don't know, guys. Like, spending $1,200 on a book in rough shape. Like, I just feel like we all had to draw the line in the sand somewhere. This is one of a handful of books I would be willing to break my typical comic book limit. Like, I have a limit on books that unless you're one of these key, like Daredevil, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider books, I would never even go near you, right? So I already knew I was going to have to spend money for it, but some people have been commenting on those videos saying, like, did you get your book? How's the hunt going? And I was like, I said I would do updates along the way. And then once I hit the $800 and didn't buy it, I was just like, well, I'm moving on. But it's just interesting, right? Because have I spent $800 in comic books? No, since that time, no, not exactly. I mean, I've bought some really cool keys along the way. And that'll always be one of the ideas, right? Is between now and the rest of my comic book collecting, will I have spent $800 on a comic book? Because what's the difference between spending $800 on a comic book that you really, really wanted versus spending $800 spread out? It's all in how we justify it. At the end of the day, you still spend $800 on comic books, right? So that's been something I've grappled with. Like, there's stores, I do trade-ins, I get store credit, and other things like that, so that, you know, you don't always feel like you're paying cash. But at the same time, again, what is your guys' opinion on it? Like, you might as well spend the $800 on a book you really want, right? But then how do you look at your wife and go, hey, love, I spent $800 on a comic book? Whereas, you know, if you spend $100 a month on comics for 8 months, you've spent $800 on comic books. And that's always a real interesting thing to me, because there are people that talk about how the price of silver and golden age is way too intimidating, and yet they spend $100+ sometimes a week on new comics. And I'm not judging anybody. My gosh, I'm not judging anybody. I run a comic book YouTube channel, but it's interesting how as humans we justify things to ourselves. So absolutely, Marvel Spotlight 5 is overpriced. It's or at least it's out of my price range. I have no interest in spending $1,200 on a comic. Now, you know, they've got those like Affirm and Quad Pay. They've got those things that kind of make you feel like you're not just absolutely losing your mind, but at the same time, still hard to justify when some of you are saying, because when we did the video, you know, people were saying, one guy said if he had to choose between the first appearance of Green Lantern versus a family vacation, well, his family can just, you know, get an inflatable swimming pool in the backyard. But yeah, you're sitting there talking about you could pay bills, you could pay your debt, you could pay for a vacation, or you can get a little measly comic book. And so I think that's why it'll always be a struggle. That's why it'll always be a debate. So my question for you guys is, what's your line in the sand that you try not to cross, except maybe for exceptions? Because for me, honestly, if you're not talking about a run that I'm actively going for, Ghost Rider, Teen Titans, Spider-Man, Daredevil, I don't want to spend $20 on a book unless it's something really cool. Like I've got the first appearance of the Living Tribunal, which I'll try to put in an off-camera pickups as we close out the year here. But my point is, every man has his limits with comics, and I'd just love to get your guys' opinion on some of the stuff we've talked about today. Like, we know whenever they show Ghost Rider, like, that book is not going to be a $1,200 book anymore. It's going to be way more than that. And graded copies, you can just forget about it, you know. So, and on top of that, how we justify comic books. Okay, it's okay if I spend $100 a month over the course of 8 months, but I'm not going to spend, you know, $800 in 1 month or something like that, you know. So this is all about, as collectors, where do we draw the line in the sand? So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on when, because I made that video last year, or this year still, what to do when your Grail gets out of reach, right? But have we talked about defining what our limit is? That way we know when that comic book is out of our reach. So, just for the sake of not jabbering, highlights of the video are, you know, our channel is going through an interesting time right now without memory. So there's some really cool videos we want to do down the stretch here, but they may get put on the back burner until I get the hard drive situation figured out. B, as of right now, I am not actively pursuing Marvel Spotlight 5, which means I'll probably never pursue Marvel Spotlight 5 in the foreseeable future, because I'm assuming when they get Ghost Rider, they'll do a Ghost Rider trilogy. They'll probably do like a Midnight Suns. I mean, I'm expecting him to be anywhere between 7 to 10 movies. Because if he's a Midnight Suns, he could appear in a Blade movie. He could appear in a Doctor Strange movie. Would they have him in the Morbius movie? I don't know, you know. So I'm just, if he's going to be in the next 7 to 10 movies, you're talking about that book probably not calming down for a decade, unless there's lulls in between the movies. But then again, if he's in like Ghost Rider 1, and then he's in Blade 3, and then he's in Midnight Suns 1, and then he's in Ghost Rider 2, is there ever going to be a lull, you know? So everybody's saying he could come as early as Doctor Strange 2. He could be in Blade. I mean, who knows? Who knows? We'll just see where the character goes. But as of right now, I think for the next decade, I probably will not be pursuing Marvel Spotlight 5, which stinks, but there's plenty more fish in the sea. And, you know, I've got the kid on the way, and the character is getting more hot now than ever before. So it's just not in the cards, but that's okay, you know. That's part of life, is we're not always going to get our Grails. Now, at the end of the day, like I said, I could probably trade in a good bit of my collection, get some cash, and then put that towards the comic so I don't feel bad. But I just don't know if that's something that I want to do at the moment, because that does sound like a lot of work. I don't think it's as easy as just take 6 short boxes down to the shop and get some cash. I think it had to be a bit more meticulous than that, and I'm just not sure I want to do that right now. But again, for the sake of rambling on, which I'm clearly not doing at all, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I hope everybody has a good night. I hope everybody is looking forward to the new year and Christmas. And let's make 2022 awesome. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe so you guys can see what videos we have coming down the pipeline. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and have a great night.